My name is Sophia, and I'm 23. I live in a small town in Illinois and work part-time as a pizza delivery driver to help pay for college. It's not a glamorous job, but the tips are decent, and I like meeting different people. Most nights are uneventful. Just me, my car, and a playlist of podcasts to keep me company. But one stormy night last fall changed everything. It was late, close to 10 p.m., when the call came in. A large pepperoni pizza, ordered to an apartment complex on the edge of town. The place was old and run down, the kind of building that looked like it hadn't been updated in decades. I didn't think much of it. Sketchy places weren't unusual for late-night deliveries. The order was for apartment 13A. When I arrived, the rain was coming down hard, and the building looked even creepier up close. The windows were dark, and the flickering fluorescent light in the lobby did little to ease my nerves. As I walked inside, I noticed something strange. The elevator panel didn't have a button for the 13th floor. At first, I thought I'd misread the ticket, so I called the number on the order. A man answered almost immediately. His voice was low and raspy, and it sent a chill down my spine. "Take the elevator," he said. "It'll get you where you need to go." Before I could ask any questions, he hung up. I glanced around the empty lobby, hesitating. Part of me wanted to leave right then, but I didn't want to risk losing my job over a hunch. I stepped into the elevator, still clutching the pizza box, and pressed the button for the top floor. The ride was unnervingly slow. As the numbers on the panel ticked up, the lights in the elevator flickered, and the air felt colder. When the doors finally opened, I stepped into a hallway that wasn't like the rest of the building. The walls were bare concrete, the floor was dusty, and the air smelled damp. At the far end of the hallway was a single door marked 13A. The door was slightly ajar, and a dim light spilled out into the hallway. My heart raced as I approached. I knocked softly, hoping someone would answer quickly so I could leave. "Hello?" I called out. No response. Pushing the door open a little further, I stepped inside. The room was almost empty, except for a single chair in the center and a pile of ropes on the floor. The walls were bare, and the light came from a single bulb hanging from the ceiling. Something about the scene made my skin crawl. I set the pizza box on the chair, ready to leave, when the door suddenly slammed shut behind me. I spun around, heart pounding. "Is someone there?" Footsteps echoed outside the door, slow and deliberate. I backed away, my hands shaking, and stumbled into a small bathroom at the back of the apartment. Locking the door behind me, I pulled out my phone and texted my manager. "Something's wrong. Call the police. I'm at 13A. The footsteps grew louder, then stopped just outside the bathroom. My breath caught as I heard the doorknob rattle. Whoever was out there was trying to get in. I crouched in the corner, clutching my phone, praying the police would arrive soon. The rattling stopped, but I could hear faint whispers on the other side of the door. After what felt like an eternity, the sound of pounding footsteps filled the apartment, followed by shouts. The police had arrived. I heard them yelling for someone to come out, then the crash of the front door being broken open. When they found me, I was shaking so badly I could barely speak. The officers searched the apartment but found no one else there. The ropes, the chair, even the pizza box, all still there. But there was no sign of the person who had locked me in. The next day, I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. I did some research and found out that other delivery drivers had gone missing after taking orders to the same address. None of them were ever found. The building's management denied having a 13th floor, claiming the elevator couldn't even stop there. But I know what I saw, and I know what I heard. There's no way I imagined the strange hallway or the room with the ropes. And the worst part? No one could explain who had been on the other side of that door. I quit my job the next day. To this day, I still have nightmares about that night. My name's Amy, I'm 22, and I've been working as a pizza delivery driver for about a year now. I live in a small town in Oregon, where deliveries are usually pretty straightforward. Most of the time, I just drive around the neighborhood or through the busy parts of town. Nothing too creepy. But there's one night I'll never forget, and it's one of the reasons I'll never take a pizza delivery job again. It was a Friday night, and I was just finishing up a round of deliveries when I got a call for a delivery to a cabin way out of town. The caller, a man with a deep, calm voice, gave me detailed directions. He even described landmarks I had never noticed before. "Turn left at the old oak tree," he said. "Go past the creek, and then you'll see the dirt road. The cabin will be the only one on the right." I had been working for a while and figured this would be just another normal delivery, so I didn't think much of it. As I drove deeper into the woods, I started to feel uncomfortable. The road wasn't matching up with the directions he gave me. I passed the creek, but it didn't look anything like what he described. The trees were getting thicker, and the road was getting rougher. I thought about turning back, but the money was good, and I didn't want to disappoint the customer. Finally, I reached the cabin, and it was exactly like he said, secluded and on the right side of the road. But something felt off. The cabin looked old and abandoned. The windows were boarded up, and the yard was overgrown. I didn't see a car, and there was no sign of life. It was eerie, completely silent except for the wind rustling through the trees. I stepped out of my car and grabbed the pizza. I knocked on the door, but there was no answer. I knocked again, a little harder this time. Still nothing. I stood there for a moment, wondering if I had made a mistake or if the person had just forgotten to mention they were out. I was about to turn around and leave when my phone buzzed. I pulled it out of my pocket and saw a new text. It read, "Thanks for coming, Amy. I see you." My heart dropped into my stomach. I froze for a second, not knowing what to do. Who was this person, and how did they know my name? The strange part was I hadn't told the man my name. The whole situation made my skin crawl. I quickly turned around, ready to run back to my car, but as I reached for the door, I noticed something. My tires were slashed. Panic surged through me. I was stuck. There was no cell service, and I was miles away from the nearest town. I locked myself inside the car, gripping the steering wheel with sweaty hands. My phone buzzed again, but I didn't look at it this time. I was too scared to even breathe. I tried to start the car, but of course it wouldn't budge. My heart raced as I tried to think of what to do next. I couldn't just sit there. My mind was going wild, and I didn't want to be alone out there any longer. I had to get out. I called 911, explaining my situation. The dispatcher told me to stay on the line, and they were sending a unit right away. It felt like hours before the police arrived. When they did, they found fresh footprints around my car, leading up to the cabin. One of the officers found a bloody knife by the door. It looked old, like it had been used for something dark. I don't know who the man was who ordered the pizza, and I don't know why he slashed my tires. I never heard back from him. The police couldn't find any trace of him or anyone else in the area. There was no one living at the cabin. It was completely empty. No furniture, no sign that anyone had been there for years. The strangest part was that the officer confirmed that there was no such address on any official map of the area. The location shouldn't have even existed. After the police left, I couldn't stop shaking. I was relieved to be alive, but the terror still gnawed at me. I didn't sleep that night. The only thing I kept thinking about was that text. How did the man know my name? And what did he want with me? The next morning, I quit my job. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me, waiting for me to make a mistake. I never took another delivery again. The fear of what could have happened to me was too much to bear. I still don't know who the caller was or why I was targeted, but I know one thing for sure. I'll never forget that night in the woods. My name is Ryan, I'm 24 years old, and I work as a pizza delivery driver in a small town in Ohio. Most of my deliveries are pretty standard, nothing too out of the ordinary. But one night, I got a delivery that I'll never forget. It was around midnight, and I'd been working for hours. I was about to call it a night when the order came in. The address was on Elm Street. I didn't recognize the number, but it was only a few blocks away, so I figured I'd knock it out quickly and go home. When I pulled up to the house, I immediately felt uneasy. It was an old, rundown place. The windows were dark, and there was no sign of life. No lights, no cars. I could tell it had been abandoned for years. The yard was overgrown with weeds, and the fence was barely standing. I thought about calling the customer, but the order was already paid for, so I decided to go ahead and deliver it. I knocked on the door, and to my surprise, it creaked open on its own. At first, I thought it might have been a prank, so I called out, "Hello? Pizza delivery." But there was no answer. Just the eerie silence. It felt like I was standing in another world, like time had frozen here. Curious and honestly a little nervous, I stepped inside. The hallway was pitch dark. The air smelled musty, like something had been rotting in there for ages. I hesitated, but then thought maybe I'd just be in and out. I called out again, "Hello? I've got your pizza." Still no response. That's when the door slammed shut behind me. I jumped, my heart racing. The sudden noise echoed in the empty house. My first instinct was to leave, but when I turned around to grab the door handle, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. A trail of blood. The red streaks led from the door down the hallway, toward the basement stairs. My breath caught in my throat. I stood frozen, staring at it, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Suddenly I heard a voice, a whisper, so soft I almost didn't hear it. "You shouldn't have come," it said. My stomach dropped. I spun around, trying to find the source of the voice, but the house was still completely empty. My panic set in then. I didn't know what was happening, but I knew I needed to get out of there, fast. I ran for the door, my heart pounding in my chest. I managed to yank it open just enough to squeeze through, but as soon as I did, I slammed it behind me. I didn't stop running until I was back in my car, locked in and shaking. I immediately called the police, barely able to speak through my fear. I told them about the blood, the voice, and the strange feeling I had in that house. I didn't even know how to explain it, but I was terrified. When the officers arrived, I explained everything I'd seen. They didn't seem surprised, though. They told me they'd been to that house before. Apparently, it was well known for being the site of a string of unsolved disappearances from years ago. Delivery drivers were among the victims, lured in by fake orders just like mine. I didn't understand how it could happen. I didn't know who would want to hurt someone over a pizza, but I sure didn't want to find out. The police entered the house cautiously, and I could hear them on the radio. They found bodies in the basement, multiple bodies. They were all tied up, decomposing, and scattered around the cold, dark space. It was like something out of a nightmare. What shocked me even more was when they told me the house had been abandoned for years. No one had been living there. The worst part? My order didn't even exist in the system. The whole thing was a trap. I don't know who called the order or why they targeted me, but I'm grateful I managed to get out when I did. I still don't understand what happened that night. Was the voice real, or was it all in my head? I'll never know. But one thing I do know is that I never took a delivery to Elm Street again. I still get a chill when I drive by that street, and I can't help but wonder who or what was behind that order.